Hi everyone, welcome to NoSleep podcast. And yes, today we have a special guest and also our lovely teams on the behind. And welcome to Angels. And I'm very happy to have you in here. The reason we're doing NoSleep podcast is where we want to featuring artists, and also we want to spotlight and Western-based artists as well. We have been an amazing collaboration together with Angel, and we really want to highlight his work. And also we just have an exhibition with him and have a job with him. A lot of things are happening. So yes, welcome to the guest. How about our team member Julene and Ma? Introduce yourself a little bit.
I'm Jerry or Jerry Lynn, and I help with strategy. I'm Magic Forest and also work at Civilization Research Institute. So like to find ways to make the world a better place, whether it's through connecting artists or just improving technology. Matt?
Great.
Cool. And hey everyone, it's nice of you to join us today. Really appreciate your time. My name is Matthew. I not only am I the content lead at Magic Forest NoSleep, I'm also on the Stash team. We're an NFT platform where creators and collectors connect.
Awesome. So how about Angel? Just quick introduce yourself, and then we'll be start our question.
Yeah. Well, hey everybody. I'm Andre. I'm a digital artist and designer, and also the creator of Marge Simpsonaru.
So the first question. So we'd love to know just this high level brief overview of yourself as an artist. And from the professional illustrator lens to the designer lens and the creative director and Web2 land, and maybe just give us a high level overview of you as a creative in the Web3 space.
Yeah. So high level, basically, yeah, I'm a full-time creative. I work professionally, I freelance, and as well as doing the art hustle under the DRES13 banner. So in addition to freelancing, which that includes a range of like branding projects, merch design, comic cover illustrations. It really depends on where people find me. So I have like a network that finds me through illustration and art, and then another through design and branding. I also work professionally as a ACD, associate creative director at a Web3 consultancy. Doing like brand marketing for like Fortune 500 brands that are looking to incorporate Web3 and emerging tech strategies into their marketing programs.
Got your hands full, I'm sure.
Yeah, very busy, round the clock.
Yeah, I know, and I know he said it before, and I know you're so busy, but thanks for carving out the time.
No, absolutely, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, and so I have a marketing background, and I'm always curious how a name is derived and how a name comes up, how a name comes to be. So, is there an interesting story behind your name, DRES13?
Not at all. No, it's probably one of the most boring stories ever. But just to talk on it a little bit, it was basically just my screen name. When I started getting online, like in the early 2000s, before I started posting art and sharing what my personal passions were. I was on a lot of like car forums. I was like building cars with my friends and doing all that car tuning, that whole thing.
Yeah.
So the car that I had, the model was a Nissan 240SX, and the chassis was an S13. So on the forums and when chatting with friends, I was Dre, who had the S13, and and somehow like I just from kind of transitioned away from cars when I was kind of done with that. I kept the same screen name, and I just started posting art under that name. And once like an audience started to build up and like an artist network, it just kind of stuck. And it was like, okay, that's who I am online now, I suppose. And yeah, it just kind of built out into its own sort of illustration and design, brand for myself.
It's funny, you get to a point where like there's a point of no return where you have a screen name and people start recognizing you, and whether you like it or not, people recognize you. You can't get rid of it. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. It was just basically just from having it so long. I considered like should I start over and rebrand, and that kind of segues into like the whole like transition to Web3. Because when I got into the space, it was I came in thinking I was, I was an established artist in Web2 land and designer and things. And I thought I could bring all that with me into this like new world. And no, it was basically like starting over. So I even considered like, should I just kind of rebrand and start under, a whole new alter ego? But no, I just figured, let me just bring myself to the space, starting over or not. It's like, it's me and I'm doing this now. So.
Yeah,
that's really interesting. So you came in, you had your rebirth in Web3. When along that route did you meet Popple? When did you guys cross paths?
That was at the very beginning for me. So I had a few friends that were already in the space, and I had been approached previously by what ended up being I forget what it was. I think it was Maker's Place, or one of the first like NFT platforms, and I had no idea what it was, and the idea that you could sell digital art was just like, it didn't make sense to me, especially selling it for crypto. I thought it was just like, there's no way this is real. So I kind of left it alone. But then I saw friends that were doing well, and I approached them and asked like, what is all this about? And through that, it led me to the Clubhouse app. I had a friend who was like, no, you got to get on Clubhouse, and that's where people are talking about it, and that's where you're going to learn. So I started just kind of lurking and listening in, and there was a group called the Lowbrow Collective. And I was like, oh, I know a lot of these artists. I know Kozik. I've seen Mumbop's work before. A lot of the people that were part of that group. So I would just listen in, and Mariana, I think, was one of the mods of that group. Every time I pop in, she'd pull me up to the stage, and I wouldn't say much because I had barely anything to add to the conversation. I was just kind of there to soak up. But through there is where I started just kind of asking questions, and I remember Popple being super helpful. And then we connected on Twitter, and we would DM. If I had questions about minting on Polygon, or some technical stuff, she was always willing to help, and just a great person to know in the space. So yeah, very early on, basically, my first few steps in Web3, Popple was there, kind of as a guide and a friend in the space. So
that's really beautiful. Popple, I know you guided me in this space a lot too, so I'm grateful for that as well.
Oh, and it's kind of like a part of my journey as well. I feel like artists support each other. It's kind of like a common things by the time, because nobody know what we're doing. We just know that's called crypto, NFT, Web3. So we try to figure out where the best spot for us, and also we try to help each other, because that's how we start the community. But at the same time, we know that's just the beginning. So we help much as we can to supporting artists. And for example, if I have artists, they doesn't need enough money to drop, and we usually what we do is probably send them a couple ETH or a couple Tixel. I remember by the time Clubhouse are very quite popular for having a collector, but with the artist chat and consequences, we just have that chat yesterday into the space. Having a lot the old collector, like original collector from Clubhouse, it just all come out and talk about how amazing by the time the journey we artists are able to share their journeys. I think that is very important, because now it's the space mixing not much artists focus on talking about art piece, and not much artists can focus on just only talk about what they create is, more about talk about the utility, more talk about the job. And no, that's just not the things we want to focus. That's why NoSleep it's become one of the things we want to focus on, spotlighting artists and also bring back the value to the artists as well. And that's why we're doing collaboration job with artists, and that's why we're helping up artists, and also we try to inspire other artists. Maybe some artists, they see our podcast after like, oh, I can do it too, and then they just jump to the space and become the next artist or collector. Like, that's who knows, right?
You've pulled up other artists, and Andre, I'm sure you have mentored others as well. I feel so lucky. I have amazing artists in my life, including my niece, and this like mentorship has become really important, just helping encourage like the next generation. So Andre, I'm curious, like who else has pulled you up or maybe what experiences have led to just, creative growth. So it could be a who or a what. Maybe it's a person, maybe it's an experience. Maybe
Yeah, definitely. And that's like a very multifaceted question for sure, because, experiences contribute to that. But, just to name a few, there's been a lot of people that have been very supportive of, especially when I entered, that would like prop me up, people that were already, had traction in the space. One of them being Matt Griffin. He goes by Crypto, super prolific guy, doing a lot of great things in Web3. And people that I only know really from like their screen name, and people that just from other projects that support my idea with like the Marge thing, and whether it really comes from anywhere. It's other artists, it's people that just the work resonates with them, and they go out of their way to help promote and spread the word about what artists they love are doing. And all of that is like, those are just big, really big contributing factors to, I think, anybody's success or trajectory in the space. So we use this word a lot. It becomes meaningless after a while, but the idea of community, in Web3 really is, there really is power behind it. And sort of, creating like, tight networks of people that support each other, and, just support like the art side of things, as opposed to, I know there's a lot of like, because of the crypto influence in what we do, there's a lot of like speculation and hype and things like that. But the people that are really here for the art, and supporting artists and supporting creatives entering the space and doing new things, I think that's really what kind of propels just the concept of collecting digital art forward.
Yeah, totally. I've found so much benefit in bringing together community and tapping into my community as well in Web3. I love it. So shifting gears a little bit, now kind of want to, I'm interested in what led to your inspiration around your character, Marge Simpsonaru. So specifically, like, I mean, Marge is an iconic character in the Simpsons world, but why did you choose this iconic character and not another? And then also, similarly to that, is why did you choose the action of assassin and instead of a different action?
Yeah, so that whole thing, this idea came to me like, I was really burnt out on a lot of the work I was doing at the time. I was doing a lot of like just cyberpunk art that I still love the genre. I'm a huge fan, but the stuff that I was making didn't really feel like it was unique to me. It felt like I was just kind of following, aesthetic conventions that exist, and it just didn't feel like I was really contributing much of a personal point of view to the work I was making. I liked it, and there was people that liked it too, and that it was what it was. But after a while, I just kind of got burnt out on it. There was a lot of other factors that contributed to that burnout. Posting. This was pre NFTs, but posting online and like having to have like satisfy the the algorithm monster just to prove that you still exist, and so that. That the fear of having people that like your work forget you, and all that stuff. So I just decided, like, I disconnected, and I wanted to make drawing and art like fun again for me. So I stopped posting, and I just grabbed my sketchbook, and I was determined to just sketch and draw for myself like I used to when I was a kid, and before posting art online. I'd spend hours and days just doing art for myself, and that's when I enjoyed it the most. So I tried to kind of reclaim that, and through the process, like a few weeks into it, I'm just sitting on the couch. I'm going through I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Marvel Comics Elektra Assassin. There was a series from the 80s. It was very iconic, by Bill Sienkiewicz and Frank Miller. They wrote this really awesome very strange and like psychedelic miniseries for this character, Electro Assassin, who's part of the Marvel universe. So I'm flipping through there, just trying to absorb, as much Bill Sienkiewicz as I can, and I was doing that. I had my sketchbook over here, and Simpsons reruns were playing in the background, and so I'm not sure what triggered it, but I started drawing just in a version of Elektra, and just to make myself laugh, I was like, I took Elektra's whole thing, the weapons and the outfit, and I put it on Marge, and I was like, oh, that's really funny. And as I was doing it, something about it really clicked, and I don't know what it was. It was funny, and then I was like, the original drawings were kind of like taking the actual Simpsons character design and designing it that way, but then as I just kept on sketching it because I thought it was hilarious to me, and I started doing it in a more semi-serious anime style. And people that know me personally, that's kind of my it resonated with them, my sense of humor. What I find funny is to present something absurd or strange in the most serious way. So in terms of the execution, I was like, okay, there's something here. This is interesting. Drawing it, in a semi-real, manga comic book style, but this big-haired, blue-haired Simpsons character, she going from the demure, housemaker of the Simpsons is now a bloodthirsty assassin, and it just kind of spiraled from there. Weeks later, I'm still drawing this character, and I'm not posting anything. I'm just doing it for me. Yeah, and then I went to a kind of a drink and draw, sketch group here locally, and I showed them what I've been doing to account for my lack of online presence at the time, and somehow it resonated with them as well, and they encouraged me. They're like, "This is what you should be doing." I was like, and it kind of felt like that thing, that I was hoping for. It's I really enjoy doing it. This is what I should be putting out into the world. This is it felt mine. Obviously, I don't own, any rights to the Simpsons IP or anything like that. But the concept and the way that it was executed, it felt personal to me. I was like, okay, so I decided to post a fully, fleshed out first concept of this to Instagram, and I think up to that point, I posted it right before Christmas, and that was one of the first of my posts that ever broke 1,000 likes or something like that. And for me at the time, that was a huge deal. Being away for so long and thinking the internet has forgotten me. So that just kind of settled my resolve. It was okay, I have something here. Let's keep building on it, and it's one of those things where I'm still doing it. It's still enjoyable. It hasn't gotten that burnout feel hasn't come close to this yet. So I'm just gonna keep on pushing it and build out the story and see where it goes.
Yeah, it sounds like you tapped into your authentic self, how you began your journey.
Yeah,
that's much. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's much more of a healthy relationship between you and your work. It's not work anymore.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. I get it.
I get it. It's because you're using a common icons. I always call it an icon because it's Simpsons. The whole family has become our generation memory. Really, it's easy to understand. You have something. You must have a story related or some favorite scene you always want to set up. But one thing really surprised me about your work is you very successful to develop redesign the character. That is very important because as most artists, they don't know how to find the direction or how they would building the character. But I think you really can catch up the feeling about a Simpson. Like you know how to use a color and you know how to set up the same feeling like Simpson, but at the same time you deliver the character to a next level. You create a whole full scene of the story development in the behind. You also create the whole, I would say, like a like body shape for the Simpson family as well. That is also very important. But at the same time, you still keep the iconic the characters as a personality inside. That is very impressed me.
Yeah. So the Simpsons lore and their character designs, everything. There's so much. One, the designs are just iconic, right? It doesn't matter how, like you could put, the tall blue hair and the green dress on, a gorilla, and you would know that you're looking at a Marge Simpson gorilla, right? So they make it very easy to take these sort of things and, kind of subvert it a bit and sort of look at it through a different lens. So I mean, in that regard, it's they make it so easy. I feel like the whole universe is so like style guided, to a certain extent, where it's easy to draw like a realistic Ned Flanders, and everyone knows exactly who that is, right? So yeah, I think in that regard, the character designs are just they're just iconic and so well made. The lore itself, the Simpsons story and the writing, it can go so deep, and there's so many ways, there's so much like to pull from. It's such a like a rich story that there's so much that you could pull from and subvert or sprinkle in. Like that's part of my favorite thing about doing this work as well, is that you can take sort of obscure references and drop them into the piece. And the most fun thing is the conversations that happen when somebody spots that, or when someone starts quoting lines from the episode that they're able to tie to the art that I'm making. They're picking up on the references, which sometimes I think are very they're not very subtle, but then sometimes they are. There's very subtle things where I'll throw out there. I'll just put in the background of a piece, or it might have influenced a piece. And there's people that get it. There's people that really understand the deep cuts of Simpsons lore. And I've had so many great like conversations in DMs where people like, oh, you should do this next, and it just sparks these online friendships and conversations that I get to have about stuff that me and these people that I'm connecting with, that we love, that which is the Simpsons lore, and also comics and manga and all these different things that the things that I love that I'm putting into this work, I'm able to connect through with new friends and people that I'm meeting through this work, which is for an artist, there's nothing better than that. It's because you put stuff out and you just want it to resonate and sort of connect with like-minded people, and when that happens, there's nothing more satisfying than getting like a DM of someone who's like, hey, is that from this episode when this happens? I'm like, yeah, and we start this whole conversation, and so it's connecting with people has been great.
So Andre, I'd love to hear a bit about your background as a street artist. Specifically, are you weaving your street artwork inspiration into your pieces? And also, how did this prepare you for your Web3 journey as well?
Yeah, I mean, so the street art thing that was back in like the mid 2000s, 2008 to around 2012. I was doing a lot of that. Yeah, it was just it was posting art, before it was posting art online, and it was just, I feel like it was a good part of my journey in terms of having the courage to like literally put work out in the world, and kind of put a stake in the ground and saying, it's like, hey, it's this is my voice, and I'm committing it to someone else's wall, which that's yeah, I'm not gonna publicly condone defacing public property, but that was part of the thrill during that time. And there was something about just the higher stakes of doing art, and not just uploading it to Instagram and being done with it. There was a lot more of a personal connection to it. A lot more personal risk that was associated to wanting to put work out into the world. And for me, I think the motivations were, at that time, it was, a lot of it was very much like a kind of that street art mentality of just like getting work up, getting seen, doing something that, other, people might not have been willing to do for their work. There was, the motivations were different. But as far as like how it contributes to what I do today, I think it helped sort of solidify like my resolve to I don't know, not really be what's the word, like be more bold about putting work out there, because I think a lot of artists, they might struggle with, they feel like they can't show their art to anyone until they define their style, or they put these roadblocks in front of themselves, like they haven't defined their voice yet, and so that might prohibit them from like showing work. And I think when it comes to like street art, you go out there and you put your freedom at risk, to just put whatever it is you're doing at the time, you're putting it out there. And I think when it comes to those barriers, that psychological barriers that someone might have in terms of showing their art on like a global scale, which is like posting it to Twitter or whatever, I think it kind of helps in terms of overcoming that, that sort of personal anything that would hinder someone from from getting their voice out. I think when you commit to doing something like street art, or going out at night and wheat pasting your work to walls, or spray painting, or whatever it is, or even if you're just like scrawling your name on someone else's property, I think it helps to lower those barriers. But I think in that way it contributed. But overall, I would say, like, as I've grown up, I became a father. So, I think the last time I went out at night, my son was already like 2 years old, and I was like, okay, this is probably going to be like my last time. I think I need to, I think I need to make sure that, my wife's not going to have to come like, pick me up, from a jail or something with my sleeping kid in her arms. So the focus shifted to gallery art around that time, and just trying to do that whole thing, lowbrow art galleries and stuff. And then from there, it just that transitioned to just making digital art, and from there, enter Web3. So
I respect that answer, and I resonate with a lot of what you said. And it could be a completely different discussion of how, like, a lot of these barriers, like it's so important to get your name out there, get your brand out there, and get your art out there. But a lot of these barriers are not external barriers; they're all, internal.
Self-imposed. Yeah, absolutely.
So I just have one more question for you, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up. The last question that I have for you is, and taking inspiration from, so I'm a Tim Ferriss fan. I listen to a lot of his podcasts, and he ends a lot of his podcasts with basically like, if you could put anything on a billboard, what would you put on that billboard? So I guess my question to you is, if you can create an NFT that's an inspirational message, or a maybe like an illustration of some sort, whatever your heart or mind desires, and airdrop it to every wallet for everyone to see, what would you create?
That is a tough one. So it's like you got the mic, you're on the spot. Like, what do you say to anyone and everyone? I think it would be a very carefully crafted but hopefully meaningful message. You know, if I were to speak from, you know, from the heart, it would probably be something that would inspire someone to like seek truth in life, and you know, with time being the ultimate currency, you know, using it responsibly to make a positive and meaningful impact on those around you while you're still here. You know, it's like we're not here forever. What are you doing with your time? And you know, what effect are you having on, you know, the people that are going to remember you, you know, when you're gone? So something like that. What that message is, I don't know, but that's, yeah, I think that's the gist. Yeah, that's probably what I'd want to get across. And then I'd probably commission Popple to do the art, because then people would actually want it.
Yeah, you actually did. So yeah, just want to before we're up, and just want to mention one more thing. So I'm very happy and like very honest to have you in here. It's just amazing, because as we've been very trying to highlight a lot of the artists, but also as a homie, and I feel I know your work very well, and I'm very glad the piece you have been creating for our community and for your community as well. It's just very perfect match. And yes, before you wrap up, I do want to ask you one more things about how you think about this job, about the collaboration job. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, this was super fun, and you know, again, yeah, I can't thank you enough for, you know, for extending the invitation to, you know, collaborate with, you know, such a cool project. You know, I've been a fan of the NoSleep project since you dropped it. So yeah, to be able to collaborate. At first, I wasn't sure how we were going to connect. You know, our two, you know, styles and the content that we make, but yeah, that didn't stop me. It was like, as soon as you approached, I was like, immediate yes. I'll figure out the details later, how it's going to actually work. But yes, I remember that being the first reaction to it. But yeah, you know, after thinking about it for a little bit, and we jumped on a couple calls to just kind of throw ideas around, and you know, then it just clicked, you know, to have like a very, you know, serious, you know, Marge interacting with the fuzzy bean characters, and it's like, okay, this fits exactly like with, you know, the kind of like absurdist narrative that's, you know, presented in like a serious way, that fits exactly with what I'm doing. So and then to be able to use all the rich and textural art that you create as you know, and bring that into Marge's world as rich and textural art that surrounds her. So you know, with the fuzzy bean art in the background, and you know, her kimono basically made up of Magic Forest art. I was like, okay, you know, I couldn't have like I couldn't have thought it was gonna like pair so well. And you know, I'm really happy with the end result. And you know, I think a lot of the people that collect you know, Marge, like my supporters, I think they were all really happy with it, and I hope the Magic Forest supporters enjoyed the piece as well.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of your art, and yeah, congratulations on the job as well. I believe we're having a lot of people to collect, and at the same time, we do want to tell public we actually having more collaborations coming for the Boities Part 2, and yes, later we will catch up on. So Mark or Julian, do you want to do the close-up?
Yeah, I can go ahead and knock that out. So Andre, really appreciate your time today. It's been really fun interacting with you over the past couple of weeks, and I'm really glad we had a chance to sync up. Also, as you know, we talked about the collaboration, and it was amazing to see how the two pieces of art and the two styles came together as one. So we also really appreciate your collaboration and your effort around that. But from all of us on the Magic Forest NoSleep team, I just want to thank you for your time, and thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, likewise. Really appreciate everyone's time and you know, the attention of your community. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. So
Thanks.
yeah, bye bye, and see you guys next time. Bye.
See you next time.